Greetings! I hope this video finds you well, and today I just wanted to offer some support and clarity to you at this time, and especially because Gemini season just kind of got away from me. It went by very quickly. Let me know how it went for you as well if you'd like to share in the comments, because I just feel like it was a very fast couple weeks. So in its place, I have for you this video, which I feel like, you know, it actually worked out perfectly, because had I made the Gemini video, I might have not came up with being able to offer you this video, which I feel like is definitely relevant and important right now, because I don't know about you, but I feel like the world is essentially coming out of a hibernation, like a year-long hibernation. And I mean, it's kind of been doing that for the last couple months or so, but you know, by summer, and just it's just a lot of intensity, you know, that is happening. And while I still feel like so many of us are just coming to terms with what we experienced last year, okay, and that's completely fine, because it was a lot, you know, no matter what your personal situation is. I mean, I'm sure it was worse for some of us than others, but the reality is we all went through this very challenging and difficult time together, and we're moving out of it now. And yeah, so, and obviously I feel like that would call for some extra love and support. So with that, I have a pick a card reading that has 3 tarot cards, and I also went ahead and have 3 oracle cards to offer additional support with those tarot cards. But as I was preparing for those, an extra card wanted to fly out, so I definitely felt that it resonated with the energy and the vibes that I've been picking up on. And I felt like, okay, so this is a general reading for the collective for the next 6 months, for the second half of this year. So I want to get into that first. So excuse me. Thank you. And now we'll start with that. So that card that wanted to come out is the Death card. And for obvious reasons, this card gets a bad rap. But the flip side of the Death card, the other side of that coin, is life, okay? So while things are falling away, we are given more space to birth new things for ourselves, okay? And as far as what those things that are falling away are, that obviously will depend on every individual level, and they can be multiple things of, you know, falling away. But I definitely feel like we're looking at things that have been in place for decades, generations, long before most, if not all of us, incarnated on this planet. These are the structures and the beliefs that formed them that are falling away. Okay, they're dissolving, they're getting cleansed out, because we need things that are actually going to be supportive for us in the future. Things that are going to be supportive to sustain life for all living beings. Okay, so while some of these things that may be falling away are going to create difficulty, it'll definitely be important to allow yourself to have a grieving process with whatever that might be. And I mean, maybe it'll be easier to let go of some things, and it'll be a rejoiceful time when it feels like, oh, thank God that thing's over and done with. But we're human, and we can grow attachments to even things that are not good and beneficial for us. And ultimately, that is what I do see that this card is signifying. It's about the purging of that which is not good for the greater good of all. It's slowly dissolving and being transformed. Okay, so what we have for the rest of the year is a continuation of transitions and death and rebirths that are going to be happening. And there's many beautiful teachings that actually even reflect that on a daily basis, we have these abilities. Every day we can be reborn into a new, better version of ourselves. So while that happens, that means the older, outdated version dies. So I share that to offer an additional insight into the possibilities that are there for us, even if this might seem like a not so great message. I mean, this is just, it's a major message. It can mean amazing opportunities are coming into our lives, because there's going to be more room for that to happen. And for additional context, I like to look at the top and the bottom of the deck. And it was interesting that both of them were in the reverse position. And I even had to check myself to see, like, were all the cards reversed, but they weren't. So this seems very significant as well. And we have the Seven of Swords on the top, and we have the Four of Swords on the bottom, again in reversed, like I mentioned. And the swords are all about our mental processes, our thoughts, ideas, beliefs, but mainly like the mental processes, because so the things we thought we knew is what I really want to hone in on with these cards. And I feel like for many of us, every day is showing revelations. And I mean, it's up to us whether we want to acknowledge that or not, because it is a lot to process and a lot to digest and reflect upon. But if we're paying attention and we are open to wanting to see things in new ways, those are definitely available to us. And what is revealed is that a lot of what we've been taught, a lot of what we've been told to believe is all that is and that is true and fine, might not be what the whole story. You know, there's like, we've only been like spoon-fed little bits of truth here and there, you know, for generations. Okay? So a lot of that, I feel like, is coming through in these reverse swords. And the challenge that we have here is, how attached are we to these lies we've been fed? Can we get over them? Can we be able to release them? Even if we didn't necessarily agree with them at one point in our lives, some of you may have made major decisions based on those lies, and that obviously is very difficult to then re-examine. Okay, and maybe this isn't true for you, but maybe that would be true for a loved one you know. So, I feel like the importance of this message is to realize the level of transitions that we're all going through in our own unique way, the level of deception that we've all experienced in our own unique way, and that the next 6 months are a call to support ourselves through a process of grief and rebirthing what wants to be reborn, creating anew through a series of things that are falling away. But when there is death involved, we are encouraged to have that extra support. We need extra love and care. So to really be as gentle as you can with yourself through this process, because I'll tell you, a lot of these swords could definitely be negative self-talk, over-criticism, just really beating ourselves down, just like these structures have designed. So the more we can release what no longer serves us, what isn't good for us, the things that don't make us feel good in our hearts, that we know we're just not, that there's something might be more than what we're being told or shown or treated, that you know maybe you deserve better, or these are things to really assess over the next 6 months, and to be brutally honest with oneself. I mean, it's definitely more important to be honest with yourself than it even is to be honest with other people, because from what I've found is that we can think we're being honest to others, but until we clear out some of those lies that we've told ourselves, it's only going to be so honest. And you're only going to basically set yourself up to have to revisit that at some other point and be like, oh, wow, I guess I should have did something differently, or I should have known, I should have known. Those kinds of like facepalm moments and such. But I think I'll leave that there for now, but yeah. So self-care and showing yourself extra support. Oh, the other thing regarding that is because we obviously want to be giving ourselves that extra support as much as best as we can. You know, I mean, some days are going to be easier than others. And as far as tips regarding self-care, I mean things like, you know, I mean, it's very basic. I don't necessarily mean like lavish things. I mean like making sure you're drinking enough water, making sure you're, you know, getting enough sleep, making sure, you know, proper hygiene, and I mean, these things that can be difficult when we're depressed or having a hard time. And making sure we're going out to get fresh air and being around nature, allowing for downtime and self-reflection, stillness. So, yes, that is a big one, I feel like, for the next 6 months, especially since, like I said, it feels like, you know, we're coming out of some year-long hibernation. So all these things and events and engagements that are coming up and occurring now, I mean, thank God, but that's another set of overwhelm. And, you know, then we have the FOMO that can happen, or, you know, you don't want to let your friends down, your family down. And it's kind of like, you know, we did without all these things for a whole year, and if we're still here, you know, we made it. Does all this need your attention? Is it worthy of your attention? You know, maybe you're being called to be in a different direction and you don't even want to do the same things you used to do. So ultimately, I think that's a huge message as well, that like while we see things getting back to some sort of normalcy, that we might be actually being called to do things different, to not even go back into the same thing that we would have done before had 2020 not have happened. So, yes. So I will leave it at that. And now, for some added and more personalized context here, we'll get into this pick a card reading. Okay, so the first cards that I pulled here are these, and I'll invite you to, especially like, allow yourself time to process that and feel centered. Some deep breaths, deep exhales, okay? And as you feel like you're in a calm state, I ask you to tap into these cards and whatever one you feel most drawn to at this time. And I actually believe as well that you might be able to revisit this video throughout the next 6 months and see what messages resonate more than others. Okay, because I did feel like I went a little bit all over the place in that beginning message. Probably going to do that with these next 3, especially since I have oracle cards with them. So what resonates with you this month might be different next month, and so on and so on. So I invite you to play around with the pick of cards. Let's come back to this. It's about the 19-minute mark in the video, and see which card you want to check out. Okay, so for that first set of cards, we have these two. Okay. And the second group, we have these two. And the third group, we have these two. Okay, so we'll go bring them up again. One, the first group, or pair, I should say. Second pair. Third pair. Okay. So, if you picked the first card, pair, the first set of cards, we have the Devil. Another not so favorite card of the tarot. But honestly, look how ferocious and adorable this one is. This is a great card. Okay? But the Oracle, keep the faith. Okay? I love that these two cards came out together. That's the beautiful universe we live in. And so the Devil, we'll look at that first, is definitely about things that are holding us down, weighing us down, enslavement, bad habits, toxic relationships, anything toxic, just definitely things that are not good for us, weighing us down, making us, doing the same things habitually that aren't serving us, that aren't serving our families. That's the Devil's work. And ultimately, this card may be implying that the attachment to those things that are not serving you might be pretty strong, and this can be kind of a wake-up call to be like, does this really make me feel good? Why am I doing this? How can I get out of this? That's a big part of, I feel like, the Devil card, is that we might have the inkling that it's not good for us, or that there's got to be something better than what it is, but we don't know yet, and so we kind of are entrapped in this a cycle that isn't necessarily healthy and we're not growing from, that we don't know and we can't find a way out. And ultimately, though, I think in those situations, it is because we feel so helpless and powerless, and in a lot of ways defeated, that we don't have the strength to actually feel like there's something else out there. This can't be the only option. There is a way out. So we feel like we're stuck. And in that belief that we feel stuck, we can't get out. And that is why I feel like the Keep the Faith card comes in, because the Keep the Faith Oracle reminds you to focus on the fact that there is opportunities. You can get out from the situation. You can get out from underneath whatever you feel like might be holding you down and weighing you down. But it is going to take that cultivation and that reiteration to yourself, like a reprogramming, to remind yourself that, okay, this might be what I have to deal with now, but I will find a way out. I will get out of this situation. I will do better. I can overcome. Okay, so all hope is not lost, even though on some days it may feel that way, and that's totally okay. But you want to just keep trying to go back into the, okay, like, where can I have more faith and hope, and that, you know, there is more beyond what I might be experiencing right now, and that there will be better days, that this isn't all that is. Because like I said earlier, this life, death, the cycles, things are always moving, and we always have more possibilities than, well, I shouldn't say we always have that, but generally speaking, we have available to us way more options and possibilities than what our mind allowed us to realize. Okay? So I'll just go ahead and read the part of the Oracle book here that mentions about keep the faith. Okay? Some of the changes you've experienced have been challenging, and this card urges you to keep your faith in divine intervention and positive outcomes. After all, lapsing into pessimism won't help the situation. Faith can come in many forms, such as reconnecting with God through prayer, or reviewing all the times when everything worked out for the best. Faith is an inner knowing that your experiences are purposeful and that you'll have a happy ending, which is true. Additional meanings: spiritual or religious study, a spiritual or religious community, prayer vigil, optimism, hope, and a positive outlook. Okay, so this actually intertwines beautifully with the general reading of the Death card as well. I definitely feel like, as far as offering that extra self-care that we're going to need for the next 6 months, you know, a part of that for me and for last year, you know, has definitely been prayer. And maybe it's cliche to say, but I mean, I just feel like if you don't feel like closer to some higher power, the supreme being and life force that we all came from, or many of us came from, then that in itself is very bleak and powerless. It doesn't look very hopeful. So, you know, I definitely invite, if you picked this card especially, or these cards, that, you know, maybe this is the invitation to really explore spirituality. Maybe, you know, you've had a bad relationship with religion, and you know, maybe you haven't found that spark yet, and this could be that invitation to see what you're drawn to in those areas to develop a stronger spiritual connection to your own spirit. I mean, more first and foremost, even, and simultaneously, that is the connection to the divine. So the stronger that connection is, it definitely will help you to be able to shift and see more positivity in your life. Okay? I think I'll end that there and get into, if you chose card 2. Okay, so card 2, the 2 cards, if you were in the second batch. Okay. We have the Body Changes card, Oracle. Okay, a monarch being reborn right out of that chrysalis. I guess I said that right. And the 3 of Cups. Okay, and so this together is an interesting combination, I feel like, but it makes me feel like in a weird, I mean, it's another kind of strange relationship here that I am loving to see, because the 3 of Cards can kind of mean about finding those people that really lift your spirits, that make you feel alive, like your soul family, your like new partnerships, ultimately people though that you're going to be able to create like amazing things with, and not necessarily tangible things, though that can be the case, but this is ultimately about creating great feelings, people that make you feel good, that support you and uplift you, and that help you to be a better person. And the pineapple sticks out to me with this card, and I'm pretty sure they like symbolize, friendship and like a good, like a welcome sign, a good welcome sign. So that definitely sticks out to me. So this is like a welcoming to new relationships possibly, or maybe even a deepening of the relationships that you have, and that feel-good energy that makes you want to be around these people, and that it also can be very creative as well. So I mean, when we're feeling emotionally and mentally and physically supported by other people, that can help us to thrive, and it can help us to create things. So it definitely has a lot of those elements too. And I guess before I get into reading with the Oracle, I just even feel like Body Changes makes me think of like if you look at it on a literal sense and think of friendships, like maybe you're getting literally like new bodies of like the old friends are gone and out of the picture, and you're getting new bodies, so you have body changes. I don't know, it's kind of goofy, but anyway, I wanted to share that. So And at the same time, it does acknowledge the fact that while we're changing, we're going to attract other people to us. And so it's a very literal, multi-literal, lots of symbolism here, I feel like. So I hope that makes sense to you, because I feel like it's definitely a good message together. So let's read what the Oracle says here with body changes. And again, with the General card, with the Death card too, I mean, the relationship's falling. So maybe some of you are actually even in that process right now where, you know, you're having a falling out with friends. And if you picked the second card here, you know, this is your hope that new people are going to show up when the time is right. And, you know, I think it's kind of a lot to do with about our own body being ready to then receive those relationships. Okay. This card guides you to focus on changes in your body so that you can influence it in a healthy direction. It's time to take charge of your own health and remain optimistic. After all, the butterflies show us the power of going through physical changes as they enter the chrysalis phase. Chrysalis phase, that's right. You are undergoing a similar preparation stage, which will bring you blessings of new strength and insights. Whether your body changes are a result of the aging process, your medical status, or your lifestyle, this card reminds you that you have many options available. Give yourself permission to take positive and healthful action steps supportive of your physical well-being. So again, self-care. Additional meanings: a new exercise program, changing your healthcare regimen, improving your diet, getting a makeover. Okay, so this made me want to add as well that I feel like, especially given the energy that the Death card can bring, and when we're going through difficult times in our lives and transformations, sometimes we kind of feel like, well, if I just had this one thing, my life would just be so much better. You know, maybe if I just had this partner, my life would be better. If I just had this friend, my life would be better. Those like things which ultimately, you know, while there's truth in that in a very like in some varying degree, the statements and those thoughts are very limiting and disempowering, because it's kind of acting like you're not good enough to be happy on your own. And that's not true. That's an old belief that has to be, you know, recycled, composted. It doesn't serve us to think like that and to feel like we're playing this waiting game and that we don't have any that there's nothing in our power to do anything to improve our own happiness, that we're expecting our friends or our family or a loved one or a partner or something to provide that happiness. And in many ways, that is a lot of the old programming structure that we've been fed to think, you know, oh, well, if I have the house, I'll be happy. If I have that car, I'll be happy. If I get married, I'll be happy. I mean, these are things that I mean, I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of us grew up thinking that that's all that it was, and we have these superficial relationships of what happiness is, and then wonder why we don't necessarily feel it all the time. Or, well, not that you're going to feel it all the time, but, you know, why it still would be missing from our life. You know, because it's not in the material per se. I mean, of course that can help, but it's not all that's in it. It's about deeper things than that. And so if you picked the set of 2 cards at this time, I definitely feel like this is about maybe putting you first. If you're in that longing space for new friendships, you know, putting yourself first, being your own best friend, loving your own energy and hanging out with yourself. There's no shame in that. And so I definitely feel like that's a priority. And it's like, as soon as you really start to get in that groove of like, you know, I'm okay with myself. I love myself. I'm, you know, and you're not necessarily focused on building those outside relationships, that's usually when they end up appearing in your life. And then, you know, it's allowing you time to get ready to be able to appreciate these better relationships coming into your life. Okay? So, now for those of you that picked 3. Okay, we have the Ace of Pentacles and decisions. Okay, so this makes me think of new job opportunities, new ways to receive abundance, prosperity, create tangible, practical things. So this is definitely like a new beginning of resources. New ways of creating stability and foundations for yourself. New opportunities. Okay, this might mean new homes, new, well, I mentioned jobs, new business ventures. Yeah, so any kind of like new intangible areas, or any tangible areas of your life that you've perhaps wanted a refresh or some kind of new, you know, maybe you felt stuck in those ways and you want some kind of new experience and you're ready for a change of some sort with, you know, how you're making money, how you're supporting yourself, where you're living, those types of decisions ultimately, right? So let's see what the Oracle has to say. Okay. You drew this card because you're wrestling with a decision and are unsure which way to go. Your divine guidance has been attempting to show you the best path, so you already have the answer in your heart. Deep down, you know the right direction, yet fears are holding you back from taking action based on this wise resolution. This card reminds you to trust your inner knowingness and ask yourself, which path brings me closer to my life purpose? What would love do in this situation? Sometimes this card appears because you've been avoiding making a necessary decision. If so, you are being reminded that not making a decision is a decision, since you've decided to allow things to remain the same. Similarly, if you're trying to choose between two options, there may very well be a better third option for you. Additional meanings: pray for clear guidance, notice and trust your signs, the signs. Okay, so I left that out when we looked at those reverse swords cards in the reading earlier, but those definitely could be fears that we need to get rid of. Definitely could be like unnecessary fears, fears that were never even ours, other people's fears. I mean, I feel like any person that's ever done anything remotely interesting in their life has had someone else, when they've had to share it with them or when they chose to share it with them, kind of project all their fears on that person. Like, and I mean, people might mean well, but I mean, ultimately it's just like they stop hearing you and your excitement for where you're headed, and they're just like reminding themselves why they never did the thing that they really wanted to do, but they were too scared to. And it's time to get over those fears, even though it's difficult. So I guess to add to that, this makes me really feel like if you pulled this card, maybe you've actually really been downplaying who you are and your abilities, and you've been maybe playing small in a lot of ways, which doesn't necessarily mean that your life even looks small, but maybe it's not satisfying the way it could be. So I definitely feel like it's time to really, like the oracle suggested, really get in touch with your heart. What is your heart telling you it's ready for? What has it been aching for, possibly for years, you know? I mean, and ultimately, if you've been hung up on something, but you know you really want to make that move, I feel like this is the green light that, you know, just make the decision then. That you're ultimately going to be supported in one way or the other, and in the end it will work out. Whether it happens immediately after you make that decision, you know, who knows? But usually, regardless, it means that must be the next lesson you need to get to the next stage of your life. So, a pretty positive card, I feel like, but still challenging. So ultimately, all these cards, you know, remind us of the inner work and the outer work that we still have ahead of us this for the second half of the year, and definitely making me you know, realize I guess how transformative this time is. I mean, there's a lot of people saying that, but these cards really back that up as well, and I've definitely been feeling that over the last couple weeks. So I guess that was enough insight for this video at this time. And if you watched it, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you received some healing messages and some support through this video. And if you would like any additional support, I invite you to check out the information I have in the description on how to work with me. And if you're actually watching this the day I posted here on Friday, June 18th, here's your invitation to join me tomorrow, Saturday, the 19th. I plan, if all goes well, I plan to be doing a live video for cancer season. So I'll be back. I'm gonna do it earlier this time, so I don't miss it and get caught up in that. So I invite you to join me for that. So that's some additional insight that we can look over for the next couple weeks. Again, a general reading for what my higher guidance would like to offer you at this time. And I believe that is everything. So again, thank you for watching this video. And if you liked it, I invite you to share it with someone else that may also benefit from it. And yes, so I feel like it's a lot of solid messages there to digest. So I hope this helps you wherever you're at in life on this journey. And I'm wishing you a beautiful next 6 months, a beautiful rest of the year, and a happy rebirth, okay? A happy celebration of connecting more to ourselves and our spirit and our authenticity of being here at these significant times. Okay? So I thank you for watching. Take care.